Hey gang, Ozzy here again. I'm gonna cook on fire today again. Do another survival video on the fire, but talk over some more points. And if you got any questions or how you would do it different, go ahead and leave a comment. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just trying to share my knowledge to somebody who may not have it. Remember, guys. All right, so hold on. This is the fire. I already piled stuff in there. Taking some branches and breaking them down and get this fire started. Remember, guys, 3 things for survival, because you never know what can happen. Stuff can go awry on a trip or in a moment's notice. 3 things you have to have for survival. You have to have fire, shelter, and water. Them 3 things. You have to have fire and shelter to keep you out of elements, control your core temperature, and make water safe to drink and to cook on. And you gotta have water. Them 3 things. The rest you can work on, but them are vital. Them are vital. You gotta fire, shelter, water. Depending on what season of the year it is, shelter might be number 1. So I'm taking these here sticks. So shelter might be number 1. If you're surviving in winter, say your car broke down in the middle of winter and it's 30 below zero or whatever, you're going to need shelter right away to get out of the element. You got to have fire to keep you warm and to purify water and cook with, and also signal smoke with, all kind of stuff. Survival is very important. You got to be ready, or try to be ready. And again, it's not necessarily the tools that you have, because normally when things go awry like that, an incident happens, say you break down, you get in a wreck or plane crash or whatever it may be, normally you don't have stuff. It's not like you can plan for it. So that's why I say knowledge is key. Knowing what to improvise, how to use, and all that stuff could be the difference of life and death. And controlling your emotions, because it is very emotional. Very, very emotional. You might be hurt, you're cold, you're mad, you know, that all that stuff affects you, and then you're trying to get a fire going, it ain't working, trying to build a shelter, it ain't working. It happens. That's why you got to try to practice this stuff, because it is perishable skills. Good training. I like to try to train as lifelike as possible. Will that be in the rain, in the snow, you know, so that way if the incident ever arises, you have a fighting chance. Because, and I'm going to tell you another thing. If you can't have a battle buddy, you should always have a battle buddy. But in case you don't have a battle buddy and you're in this civilian life here, you should always find somebody that you trust. Tell them where you're going, when you're leaving, and when you plan on being back. So that way, if something does happen, they have an idea where to start looking for you. I always follow that rule. I'll pick a different friend here and there. As I say, I'm taking a trip, let them know where I'm going, when I plan on being back. And that way they can also check in on the family while I'm gone. Stuff like that. You gotta think with security in mind, you know. Knowing how to hunt and fish and all that stuff is key too. But if you can't control your core temperature, you're gonna be dead. Remember, you can't sleep on the ground. You can't sleep on the ground, because the ground will suck the temperature out of your body. Okay, so I'm gonna get my stuff and then we'll be back with this. Alright guys, so just gonna go over some quick things. I've been studying a lot of the stuff with the Pathfinder School, Dave Canterbury, self-reliance and stuff like that. So So, it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with a lot of stuff. When you're surviving, you have to be willing to adapt, overcome, so you can survive. If I have a means to make a quick, easy fire, then that's my first go-to. If I have a lighter, and it's not wet, it's working, I'm going to use that to light a fire, because I can have fire right away. Gather your tinders and all that stuff and build your fire if you use a lighter. If I can make a fire like that, boom, yeah, that's my first go-to until that thing runs dead. And then when it runs dead, you can still use it to light a fire. And then you can move down the process with your ferro rod or your tar cloth and all this other stuff. But have a fire right away to get dried off or warmed up so you can get a fire going and start boiling water. That's my first go-to, so that's what I do. So anyway, right now I'm just going to make a fire. I'm going to use my ferro rod and a cotton ball. And then go from there, just trying to go over some survival tactics and what you guys agree with, what you don't. Because, like I said, this stuff, let's see if I can get this there. Things can happen in a blink of an eye. And you just never know. Or the economy can collapse and we can go from a soft civil war to a hard one. You never know. Or we can be invaded and or the grid go down. You never know what can happen. You know, because I don't know if you follow all the crap going on with Jade Helm and Agenda 21 and chemtrails and all the FEMA camps and all this crazy nonsense. So it never hurts to be prepared. Never hurts to be prepared. Be prepared. So here we go. Here we go. Got my ferro rod and a little striker that came with it. I'm right-handed, so I'm putting my left hand. There we go. That easy. That easy. That easy. Seriously. That's what I mean by, like, if I have a for sure way of making fire, then that's my first go-to. Because then you can always keep the fire going and move the coals, or work your way down your supply list to other functions like bow drill or spindle or anything like that. But if you have a for sure way of fire, then that's what you need to do. Because you got to adapt. You got to. People don't understand. You got to get a fire going. You got to get it hot. And then you got to find a way to get water. Then you got to boil it. That takes forever. And you got to have a good rolling boil for, I'd say, at least 10 minutes. So it'll kill all the bacteria. And then you gotta let it cool before you can even get a drink of it. And that right there takes several hours. And then if you only had a little bit of water, all that work just for a little bitty drink, and then you gotta do the whole process all over again. Surviving is not easy. It's a lot of work, and it is a perishable skill. That's why it's paramount to always try to be ready. Knowledge, that's key. And you can do things to help you out if you're surviving. You know, like say if your car broke down, you know, open your hood in your trunk. That's a universal sign for help on the roadway. Fire also, besides regulating your core body temperature and boiling your water and cooking your food, it's also a signal. You know, people see the smoke and stuff like that, especially if you've done what I said and let somebody know where you're going and when you're coming back. So like if they haven't heard from you for a day or so after you're supposed to be back, they can start tracking you down. You know, because you never know what can happen. You could be out there hunting and then all of a sudden you fall and slip and hit your head and knock yourself out. And then wake up and you know, or you can break a leg, or seriously, things can happen in a moment's notice. You can fall and be ice fishing and fall through the ice, and you may have to start a fire immediately so you don't get hypothermia and stuff. So it's always good to go over the survival stuff. And it's important to remember the three things: fire, shelter, and water. Them things will keep you alive. You can go a long time without eating. Water supposedly is only around 3 days. So you got to get them established. It doesn't have to be a fancy dancy shelter either. All the purpose it's got to do is keep you out of the elements and keep you warm or cool. It could be hot. It could be 100, you know, like it could be over 100 degrees, and you may need shelter to get out of the sun, and you need shade. You know, it all depends on the environment and the time of year. You know, how far away from help you are. And so that's why I say you should always be working on your survival skills. Always learning and practicing. And it's also good fun with the kids. You know, they love getting out here and helping me out, building shelters and stuff, because there's so many different kinds of shelters you can make, and they can play in it and stuff, you know. Make an A-frame, a debris hut, super shelter, a TV, a wiki up, all kind of stuff. And then also too, like you can make tea out of pine needles. It's loaded with vitamin C. It's good for you as long as you do it right. You can take the kids out and go get some pine needles, chop the bottoms of them off. You know, you steep them in some boiling water for a few minutes, and then you pour them into another container with some kind of nectar or honey, and it is delicious. And it's really, really good for you. And the kids have fun, and they get to be out doing all that stuff, you know, and plus they're learning on top of it. You know, they're not even knowing that they're learning because they're having so much fun. So it's important, because you don't want to be in a spot where something happened and you can't take care of your family, you know. So again, see, it's getting hotter here. The three important things for surviving: you have to have fire so you can purify water, stay warm, and cook with. You have to have shelter, keep you off the ground and out of the elements so you can control your core temperature. And you have to have water that's safe to drink, and you got to use the fire to boil it to make it safe. The rest you can work on, because typically, as long as you have a battle buddy, or you let somebody know where you're going when you plan on being back, if something was to happen, normally it's a 2 to 3 day stint, maybe max. How that can change is if, say, you're going on a hunting trip and you plan on being gone for a couple weeks, and then something happens, and then you're stuck out there more than a couple weeks or more than a week. And then it not only becomes survival, but then it kind of comes into longevity and self-reliance, keeping yourself alive. And there's still lots to know, you know, what kind of edible plants you can eat, and medicinal purposes and all that stuff. So this is The Fire, and this is Ozzy signing off.